Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Caffeine and Sensu Beans podcast. I'm joined by the usual host as well, I suppose, Chiwin. How are you doing, man?
Hey, what's up? Um, Man, it feels like it's been a while since I talked to you. But I've
Well,
been,
I think
I've been
we did.
okay, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been okay. I just gearing up for the baby. I feel like that's the only shit that I check in about now. But like, it's just just really imminent. I feel like it's coming closer. Another week survived, and that's not to say that I don't want the baby to be here. It's just that you know I want to just be able to set the table a little bit more,
Mm.
and and I think that's just stressful, but other than that, I'm okay. I have to work some other stuff out, and that's a little stressful. I I feel like all the other stuff outside of the baby
Mm-hmm.
is what's stressing me out. It's not even the
Mm.
baby anymore. Like I'm like the baby, it's gonna be fine. I've done this before. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be
Mm.
fun. But like the outside stuff, just not.
Do you
It's
like
different.
work uh, or is it like trying to take care of things that aren't necessarily related to the baby, but maybe impacted when the baby comes or
Yeah, it's a little bit of both,
mm.
like just trying to set up uh like we just had a washer and dryer installed and
Oh
blah
yeah,
blah blah.
that.
And I don't want to get into the details. I don't want to bore the listeners, but there's just like all these other elements that are outside of the baby that I think are a point of stress because it's just everything's just moving slowly because of the COVID and the
Oh,
pandemic,
okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
but other than that, I'm pretty good, man. I'm getting my FIFA game up. I'm finally getting the hang of it, and it feels good to be winning. In a
dang.
row,
Are
in a
you
row.
playing foot champs?
No, I'm not playing foot champs this
Oh,
weekend.
okay.
No, no.
I haven't. I
But I
haven't.
finally left the division that I was in. Jesus
Okay.
Christ, I was in that division for the whole freaking beginning of my tenure in this game.
Okay. So
But
yeah, I
that's
mean
so that's been good, man.
that's good.
Feeling solid about the team, man.
Feeling good. What's your team look like? I haven't seen it.
It's just an EPL team, man. I had to spend a little bit of money, but
You mean coins?
coins, yeah.
Okay.
But I was able to pack some good cards though. You
Okay.
know,
Respect. Respect. I'm intrigued. I'm interested in seeing your team. Yeah, we haven't played yet, dude. Like
Mm-mm.
against each other.
No,
I'll it'd be interesting to see how that would play out.
no.
Um, but that's good, man. Yeah. I was just
Now, how are
telling you,
you?
well, yeah, like I was telling you offline, your boy's feeling it this morning. Not like I got corona or anything. But yeah, I was just last night, you know, celebrating the baby shower, and all of a sudden the bottles of Hennessy started to come out, and I took one, two, three shots, maybe more. Uh, and I'm definitely feeling it this morning. But it was a good time, you know. It was fun, and people were happy, you know, and it's like it was a nice celebratory moment, especially because a lot of these people I haven't seen in a long time.
Mm,
But I was always I wouldn't see them often, but I would see them more frequently. Um, like some of her cousins, some of the friends on her side, like I grew to have relationships with them, like
mm-hmm.
uh, and so it was good to see them again. Like we had a lot of laughs and stuff, and then we watched the fight, and it was good. It was a fun time. Um, and man, ah, the food was next level, dude. There was
Yeah, of
so
course.
much food, dude. It was nuts. There
Like
was
I gotta make it out to one of these, dude.
yeah. Well,
I
they were
gotta make
asking
it
me.
out to
They're
one of
like,
these.
"Is your family coming?" And I was like, "Well, we had one for the family, but then most or not most, but like my parents, they went to Sacramento yesterday.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I should have just invited people. But dude, we had ribs, tri-tips, sliders. They had like Filipino spaghetti. They they love that stuff. They had, lumpia, um, what else? Just a bunch of food, dude. Like desserts, and bunch of stuff, dude. It was nuts. And of course, the trademark Hennessy.
Of course, that had to make its
Had
appearance.
to.
Yeah, had
And
to.
and all right, and I'm gonna tell you some other stuff offline that I don't know if I can say on the
The
YouTube
airwaves.
YouTube airwaves,
Mhm.
but it was fun. It was fun. But yeah, I'm ready to do this.
All right, man. This is so. Last week, man, we got into mine. I'm excited to see what's on yours.
Now let me pull this bad boy up really quick.
Yeah, it was. I underestimated how long I was gonna go in regards to sharing about each movie, but it was pretty obvious that there was a lot to say.
Right?
About all these films, whether while they're hella good or they're
Uh-huh. Shoot. All these freaking ads, dude. All
you
right,
gotta
here we
love it.
go.
You gotta love it.
Gotta love it. All right. Dang, man.
Oh, okay. Ours looks different. All right.
Ours does look different, dude.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get into it, as you guys know, or we'll just kind of reiterate how it goes. We have 5 tiers, 6 tiers. S through E. S being the best, E being the worst. E is called dumpster fire. That's the absolute trash. Don't watch it. It's hideous. And then S being the best, being sugoi. That's what it stands for.
Mm.
So we're gonna get right into it. Uh like I said, bear with me because I'm operating right now at 60% capacity. So I'm gonna need the co-host to kind of help me here. I might have to I might have to rely on
uh,
them. Okay, but let's go with tier E. Absolute trash. This is a movie that these are movies that I just do not recommend you watch. Like you don't need to. And I gotta start out with the one that's just this doesn't necessarily mean it's the worst, but it's definitely in it's there. Like you're just it's not good regardless.
yeah.
So Dragon Ball Evolution, dude.
Controversial movie.
Yeah, a lot of people it is. It's polarizing, and I would say
I
it's
don't know if it's
polarizing.
polarizing.
It's
It's
in
pretty.
one
It's pretty
way.
clear. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's polarizing in one way.
um yeah, pretty much, yeah, there's a unanimous kind of consensus that everyone hates this movie. Now, I won't say I despise and hate the movie. I actually think there were pieces of the movie that were somewhat redeemable. I think the execution of the movie was terrible, terrible.
Hmm.
Um, I felt like the movie went from intriguing at the beginning, like the opening scene, and it just continued going downwards from there.
Yeah.
Like they had a few plot points that I thought like, "Oh, okay, this is actually not bad. This is a story here." Which is something Dragon Ball is not exactly known for is their immaculate storytelling, right?
Hmm.
And so I was like, "Oh, okay, this might be interesting." But then we get introduction to the main character and they're fighting like which is Goku. I forget the dude's name. Does not look like Goku at all. I mean, I don't know how you could look like Goku, but I know this guy doesn't look like Goku.
Hmm.
Uh and then Grandpa Gohan, and they're fighting on wires, right?
Yeah.
And it's pretty atrocious. Like when I see Grandpa Gohan flying up, and we said this in the episode, and you can just see like
You see the
Y
wires back
you
there.
could yeah,
Yeah.
you could see, like, okay, the harness was on, bro, and he's kinda dangling up, and they're yanking him, uh, and listen, it was 2009, but 2009 is not that long ago to where we couldn't have some better special effects,
Of course.
um, and the actual only redeemable, like, there were so many things wrong with it, dude, like, when I talked about this in the episode we filmed, but or recorded, but when Goku started fighting the bullies at
Mhm.
the party,
Yeah.
and like I think there were like 5 guys, and 4 of them they knew martial arts, and they started engaging in martial arts, and one of them did like a flying sidekick that just boom, flew like he flew for like 10 feet. Um, so to me it was, and then like, all right, bro, Goku at the end going through the Kamehameha, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, wait, dude, what? You're gonna get eviscerated. There was just there
There's a
were
lot of
just
questionable things in that movie.
there were, dude, that I think maybe in theory they when they were thinking about it, they're like, damn, this is gonna look sick, but it didn't, in my opinion. And then it only asked more questions, like, and not only it provided like head scratching moments. I thought like Master Roshi wasn't really, I don't know, he didn't really hit. I don't he didn't really resonate with me. Um Chi was like was okay. And like the only character that I kind of liked, okay, I was Piccolo, and that was kind of it. Like Yamcha, he was okay, but I don't know, I felt like the whole movie just poorly executed. The comedy wasn't great. There were only certain plot points there that I thought, "Oh, okay, they could build on this, and if they execute it correctly, then, this could be at least a watchable movie." Maybe it
Mhm.
doesn't get into tier S, that's okay, not every movie has to, but it could get into C at least, or
Yeah.
B, um, but it didn't. So, we gotta get that one out of the way. The only live action film that, I mean, is like an official film from Dragon Ball, so I gotta give them credit for trying, because that is certainly not an easy feat, or easy
Yeah.
task. So,
And they also just fucked up by not even getting like any input from Toriyama. Like,
Toriyama, for
yeah,
sure.
like they messed up right there. Like, it's just
That's
like, all right, man, that's misstep number one. You know.
Yeah,
So
I agree. I mean, how are you not gonna consult the creator of the series?
yeah, dog, what are you
That's
doing?
lightweight disrespectful.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, that one's it. That's Dragon Ball Evolution. I saw that thing in theaters with my friends when it came out in 2009, and I remember it was a packed theater with about 6 people in there, and one of them yelled out from the back, like when the movie was over, he was like, "Next one's going straight to DVD." He was so furious. He was disgruntled. So that's what I remember about that experience. The next one is Battle of Gods. I People like this movie.
Yeah,
Um,
it's what brought the show back.
it is what brought the show back, and
Yeah.
so um, that's the only reason why I was gonna put it in D.
Hmm.
But I couldn't overlook some of some of like the nonsense that I saw. One, I felt like this movie had an hour and 40 minutes, give or take,
It
to
felt
play.
long.
Yes,
It
it did.
felt long. It felt
And
really long.
it did. I had to watch it in 2 sittings. That's already not starting off well, you
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
Um, I had to watch it like once before I went to, like, not before I went to sleep, but in the evening, and I was like, "Ah, I'll continue watching this tomorrow." And then watched it in the morning the next day. Um, it it felt like, so the piece that I liked was the Gohan and Videl saying they were expecting a child, and they incorporated, you know, what who would be Pan,
Hmm.
um, into like the transformation, and the transformation wasn't necessarily based on rage. It was based on something else, and it was cool. It was cool, like you said, it brought the series back, and it came back with like a new transformation that was different than what we had seen. Uh, and I like that they introduced Beerus, but what I don't like about Beerus is that he and Whis for that matter, they I don't know, they feel super goofy to me, right?
Mhm.
And it's I'm not saying that there isn't a place for being goofy, but like if you always feel like if everything always feels lighthearted, then it never feels like there's any stakes, and we talk about this a lot. And so because of that, I never I never fully engaged in the movie. Um I felt like Beerus's motivation to destroy planets and was is what? I mean, he gives planets a chance based on their cuisine. Uh,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
to me that is extremely childish, and maybe yeah, someone who has that type of power thinks like that. It's because they feel like they feel so powerful they can do as they please. But
Mhm.
it didn't resonate with me. Um, and you know, I Vegeta. Okay, Vegeta is a conflictive character in this movie
In
for me.
this, yeah, in this movie, yeah, he's the one that people that that's one of the main like hit points on it, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Like I know it is nice to see Vegeta's other side, which is like he's not this hard ass, like very abrasive and brash character. Um, but I like how they handle it when I like when they do it in a different way. So, for instance, when he's going to uh, fight Boo and he knows he's going to sacrifice himself, and he has that small little soliloquy, like, where and he's
Yeah.
talking to Trunks, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that type of Vegeta interaction where we see his softer side, and we see his more vulnerable side. But then here, like, there were times where I'm like, "Oh, this is kind of funny," and then I was like, "Hmm, they're doing my boy dirty." Like, I can accept Piccolo being there. That man fell off the like
Yeah, he's not relevant to this at this point.
right. He's
He
been
hasn't
in
been relevant for a minute, and we're not expecting him to be relevant in the new one.
exactly. And this was, I guess, their way because the movie's coming or the series is coming back. This brings the series back, and this is them saying, "No, Piccolo is a babysitter. He's on the
Yeah.
sideline. He's in his outfit at all times in case anything pops off."
Yeah.
But he knows he's not going to get called. He won't be summoned, and that's that. And I feel like they're so careless in this movie because this is the one where they steal the Dragon Balls, right? No, this is not the one. That's Dragon Ball Super Broly. Sorry, but that's another thing because I was thinking about Pilaf and the gang, um, and they were redeemable to me. I kind of enjoyed them, but it was just like little things that were sprinkled in that I enjoyed, like the transformation. I did enjoy the fight. I felt like that was its own separate thing.
Hmm.
They handled that well. I like the animations, but then just the story overall, man, it was so difficult to get through, man. It was like, oh my god, it was a bore.
Yeah, I mean, the only plot there was that he's going to try to get to another transformation, and as we've said, the transformation alone is not worth it if there's nothing setting the table for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like if nothing's pushing him to the limits, and even though, and what was pushing him to the limit in this movie was like Beerus going to destroy the Earth. It's like, dude, we've seen that already, bro. Like people are gonna destroy galaxies and stuff. Like we see it, we're desensitized to it at this point.
Yeah. Hmm.
So that's Battle of Gods. Uh the next one is Dragon Ball Z Broly the Second Coming. This was this movie was oh, that's what I meant to put here, but I unfortunately ooh, like a
You put
beast.
there you go right there. And
I
that's
like
the
it.
one that he wanted to put there, yo.
That's
This looks
uh
pretty good to me.
this this so I put the one out. This is supposed to be the second coming of Broly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
This
mean, dog,
movie,
just even look at the cover art, dog. Like the cover art itself is just on a different level, just on both of them. You know.
correct. It is. It is. So Broly the Second Coming, we talked about it. I mean, it was just a miss overall. And the only redeemable, I mean, Broly was supposed to be this menacing character. And don't get me wrong, we get that he's strong, but we already saw that in the first one. Like, we know he's strong. But all this confirmed is that he can't really be a main character without Paragus, because Paragus is the one who sets the table for everything and he guides them.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Who talks?
yeah, he talks
He's the
for
one that
him.
talks.
He definitely does.
Mm.
Um, Trunks and Goten, like they can't carry a movie, and maybe they were testing out the waters here, and they're like, oh, let's give it a try, see if Trunks and Goten can do something. You know, Gohan, like Gohan, he he's in that weird phase right now where he's kind of falling off, and he's trying to come back from the great Saiyan man that he was, and he's trying to redeem himself,
Mm-hmm.
but it feels like it's too little, too late. Um, it's cool seeing Videl, but Videl, Trunks, and Goten. I don't know if that's the squad. I mean, I don't know if they have the synergy. There were just a lot of misses with this, and it felt like we talked about it. It felt more satirical and maybe not on purpose. Like, well, m- maybe I think they tried to implement too many like comedic points that it ended up feeling satirical. But I think that the moments where they wanted to include comedy were only meant to make the film a little more charming, a
Mm-hmm.
little, but it just like it felt flat. None of it really hit. Like it didn't. We talk about stakes, like Trunks peeing on. Oh, was it go? No, Trunks peeing on Broly. Like, come on, dude. I don't know. I didn't find it funny. I didn't. I just the whole movie was an L for me, a fat ass L. And so, yeah, for this, Broly the Second Coming, dumpster fire, trash, garbage. Don't even watch it. Don't waste your time, man.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
It was bad, dude. It was a tough watch. Good thing it wasn't like as long as Battle of Gods.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, the next one, Super Android 13. I mean, we've talked about this. This has been our
The entire series, we pretty
yeah,
much
this
this is our threshold of a one. You know.
exactly, exactly. So this is what kind of we this set the floor for us. We know if you're in this Super Android 13 realm, you're not like this is not a good movie. Like
Yeah.
this is not where you want to be. I mean, trash. You talked about it the last episode. Like zero story. I mean, they went again with the androids. No creativity there. Like, I mean, I won't be surprised if because they can keep going back to that. Like, oh, and another android comes out of nowhere, and another android comes out of nowhere. So just trash to me. Uh, you know, nothing was redeemable in this movie. It was they tried to make it seem like, they had 3 Super Saiyans who fought, but they get handled pretty well, pretty easily. And then Piccolo comes in, he gets destroyed. He gets decimated. Like right? Like
I was like re-listening to that episode the other day, and there was something that Bless said that made me laugh. He was just like, "Well, he just came in and just hang on to a leg."
yeah, he did. It was just oh god, it felt like a filler episode that was just a little bit longer than it needed to be.
Yeah,
And it just fell flat. Like it's a trash movie.
that's the one that feels it. Just a lot of these, they're supposed to be extensions of the series. You know what I'm saying? But for
Uh-huh.
some reason, this one just it felt like an episode. Like it
It
felt
did.
like a long episode.
Mhm.
I don't think we've experienced that on this. On like at least I haven't
And
experienced that
there's
of
something about this movie that, like, don't get me wrong, I think
quote
the other
unquote.
3 right. Don't get me wrong, I think these other 3 movies are trash, but there's something about this movie that I think is complete, utter, horrific trash. Like, I think this movie is so bad, I actually wanted my time back, where the other ones, at least, like, I could watch them, as bad as they are, this one was so bad I was upset at myself that I had watched this, right? Like,
That we had embarked on this journey.
yeah, and that I felt deceived by the creators of this movie, you know. So this movie to me, and I think at the time I gave it a 2. Like,
Yeah,
obviously, if I could go back, I would redo that. It's not a 2. Not
yeah, nowhere near
It's
to.
barely a 1, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's like clawing to get a 1. So this one's definitely like not a don't recommend watching this for sure. Um, if I had to recommend one to watch from this movie, wow.
From this tier.
Yeah, from this tier, like I said, 60% capacity over here. Uh, I'd have to say, man, this is
So that's a rough list that we're looking at right
it's
there.
tough, man. I mean, really here you're picking your poison. Like this is not gonna be enjoyable at all. But you know what?
Two short trash movies and then two long short trash
Trash,
movies.
right? That's why I'm gonna go with. Wow, this is disgraceful, dude. I'm gonna have to go. You know what? I'm gonna go with Broly: The Second Coming. As garbage as that is, the reason is because um it is on the shorter side, so at least you get it over with.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time you're done, at least you've seen a character that hopefully in the when the series comes back has some major influence in the series, which is Broly. Now, granted, it's a different Broly, but this will at least set the not the expectation, but kind of like you said earlier, the threshold for how bad Broly can be. And when
Mm-hmm.
you watch the Dragon Ball Super Broly, like you'll have a better appreciation for that Broly. Um, so for sure, trash these movies. I mean, if you have to watch them, okay, I like I said, watch Broly: The Second Coming, but other than that, stay away from these things. Like, I don't even think they're selling these anymore. That's how bad they couldn't even give these away for free at this point. All right, tier D. So tier D is the It's kind of like I don't mind it, and I'll be honest with you here. There's a movie here that could have easily have been in dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and quite frankly, it probably should have, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go with the first one, which is the world's strongest. Or it's in tier D, the egg category, the world's strongest. So, um, this movie, it was another tough watch. And quite frankly, by all accounts, it's pretty bad. The only thing that I kinda liked was the martial arts. You touched on this also, like, the actual fighting, hand-to-hand combat, where it's not, like, all just kamehamehas and things like that, you know? That was the only thing that I kind of found redeemable. I like how they got creative and used, Goku's, power pole, but, man, other than that, it was just, like it was a tough watch, dude. Like, I felt like the story was kind of meh. I um felt like the characters were kind of meh. I felt like Piccolo was he looked all right, but he wasn't there we go. Hold on, did I stop sharing my screen? Sorry about this, folks. Uh,
Yeah, we did say that the henchmen were okay, but overall, I mean, the movie was just kind of lacking a solid protagonist. I mean, an antagonist. It was that's kind of what was unfortunate about this film. You know, the antagonist was just a big brain, and
yeah, it was a
that
big
really hurt
brain.
the film. That really hurt the film.
And I remember one of the critics, one of the reviewers saying this why would he need Goku's power if he's already that strong? Like, he was already decimating Goku. And they were like, what's the point of getting Goku's power if you're already this strong? And that I didn't even think about that until we read that, or I think you read it. Mm. So, but the only reason I can't put it in tier E, like in the worst tier, is because you know what? It was the first movie. It was a catalyst in a way. It was a pioneer, and
It was the second movie, but
it
yeah.
was a second movie. Right, it was a second movie, but it was in that kind of they were trying, and they could have easily have been like, "Damn, this is another L. We're gonna just stop right here."
Mm-hmm.
But the movie that would come after this was a far better one, and uh, like I said, it progressively got better, and it set the first brick to what is now a gigantic mural called Dragon Ball.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the next one is Resurrection F. Um, man, this movie, hmm, this movie's pretty trash. Like, I can't lie. This movie, I remember you having this in tier E, but
Mm-hmm.
here's the thing, right? Like, the reason I enjoy this movie to a degree was because of Frieza. Uh,
Yeah.
and I think Frieza 9 times out of 10, he's like must watch television, like he's gonna steal the show. And I love his banter, I love his character. He has that cockiness, and he says like disparaging things, but it's always in that Frieza-esque tone that I haven't seen any villain actually recreate, like re be able to mimic.
Mm-hmm.
Um and so to me, this was another one of those, this was like the world's strongest type of thing. Like, it came after Battle of Gods, but it was one of those movies that came out and um set the tone for like bringing the series back. And so even though it wasn't the first movie, right, that was Battle of Gods that brought the series back, it was the second one, and it kind of they built momentum off of it. Um and but aside from that, like, I really enjoy Frieza, and this to me was like just, I love that they incorporated him in the movie. I love that they brought him back, and he's just great. But what hurts this movie is everything else. Like, especially Beerus and Whis. Like, not so much their character, but their reasons for doing what it is they do. Like going after the ice creams or whatever it is. Like, come on, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and that's it's just
And then they in that ending, dude. That ending was horrible. They did
that
that.
yeah,
They went out of their way to make Goku the guy. It was just not it, man.
well, they went out of their way to make Goku the guy, and it also, what they did by doing that is showing, like we said, there's, when we say this all the time, right? But there's no stakes. I mean, if we could just rewind time, then nothing is consequential. Like, anyone can just die, and then they'll rewind time, and you're back to where you were. Redo it. It's like playing the game on easy mode, and then having the restart, like being able to hit the restart every single time you die. So that's why, man, this movie just it was a tough watch also, but like I said, Frieza being there kind of alleviated the pain a little bit. But I felt like this movie has no excuse for being this bad. Uh, so yeah, and the way they made Gohan, oh my god.
The Z Warriors is that was atrocious.
It was just, yeah, it's a
They
terrible.
shouldn't have been in this film.
Yeah,
I
they
know I
should
know
not have
folks
been.
wanted to see them because they probably hadn't seen them. So I'm thinking about it just like timeline wise, like we haven't seen the Z Warriors in years, right? This
Correct.
film is what reintroduces them back in there. But it's just not it just wasn't a good showing
It
for
wasn't.
anybody involved.
I mean, they try to give pick. Okay, and the other one that I did like is Jocko. Like, I think you talked about this too. Um, he's 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 got that like Hercule esque, Yajirobe esque type of character, and I
Mm.
appreciate that. Like I find that pretty funny. Um, so it, but for the most part, it was pretty bad. Uh, this one's tough. This one could have easily gotten into the tier C solid. Um, but the reason why it won't, um, is because of the following. And the movie I'm talking about is Cooler's Revenge. So this is the first movie where Cooler makes his introduction. And reasons why I liked the movie, uh, I liked Piccolo in this movie. Um, yeah, Jirobi was in there, and I mean, for me, that's a plus because he always he's always gonna bring a little bit of comedy. Like he's not a stud, and he knows that, but he's got so much swag, so much confidence in himself. Like he brings a little spice to the movie. Uh, but aside from that, I felt like Cooler was super bland. Like, and we talked about this, and I think you need a good dance partner in in the movie, and Cooler was not it in this movie. Like they tried to make him way too much like Frieza from an aesthetic point of view. Um, that to me, like when you're already when you start off like that, like trying to make a character look like someone else, then you don't you're already starting off on the wrong foot because you don't have your own identity. And to me, that hurt him a lot. Like, you know, looking exactly or trying to look exactly like Frieza and then being super bland. Like, there was nothing about him that I felt was redeemable. I wasn't really a fan of his. And then the fighting with Goku, I felt like they tried to take a little too much from the fighting with Frieza. Um, when Goku transforms into a Super Saiyan, they even have the same like shot that Goku that they showed of Goku when he turned Super Saiyan against Frieza and Namek on Namek. So to me, it was just like I don't know, man. Cooler. He didn't do. I think had there been a better villain, I think this movie could have easily have gone to tier B. But I think this is Cooler's introduction. Like this is his coming out party. All right. This is like you're here to set the tone. And I just thought he fell flat. It was set for him to kind of come in and deliver, and he didn't. He was a huge disappointment. All right. The
Yeah.
way Broly was a huge disappointment in the second coming as kind of like, okay, it's set for you to come here and do something special. And he didn't, just fell flat. And had he been better, I think certainly this goes up a few tiers. But yeah, man, Cooler's Revenge, dude. Your boy was
He had a cool opening, when he came in and he just destroyed Piccolo. That was kind of cool to see. I
man,
mean,
he
that was,
destroyed him.
yeah. So he had a solid start, and then it just kind of they just kind of forgot about him and then brought him back in the last like 10 minutes, and that's what really hurt him.
Yeah, dude, like it was just I agree. They just didn't handle it well. And they have this template which that they follow, which is the grunts fight first and then comes in the big bad boss. And the grunts fight the Z Warriors and the big bad boss fights Goku, right? And
Yeah,
they followed it, which okay. I understand like you're gonna do what works, but um it's just he fell flat for me. He fell flat, and what I enjoyed the most about this movie was Piccolo, um, and some of the other side components like we talked about, Yajirobe, Gohan. I even liked Goku. Like I liked seeing Goku in a different light. Although I don't know exactly what they were trying to get at, but yeah, I like Goku. So Cooler's Revenge, yeah, tier D. Next one, Lord Slug, trash. I mean, this could have easily been in tier E, but I'm not gonna do that because this is one of the few times that again Piccolo shines. and that
Mhm.
man doesn't get enough shine at all. Especially not like he's not gonna get any shine in the later movies. We know that
We know that. Yeah.
he's been casted away at this point, and so this is one of the movies where he gets shine, and so anytime Piccolo gets shine, you know what? I gotta put some respect on that movie. So the only reason why this movie's up here and not in tier E is because of Piccolo. And I kind of did like Goku going that false Super Saiyan. I kind of I liked it. But other than that, the movie was garbage. Like Lord Slug was again searching for he was searching for youth, and he was he had what could have been the makings of an interesting backstory. Like his whole race was eviscerated, and he could have, and he was essentially out on his own, and he was searching for revenge. There could have been something there, but they didn't decide to do that. He's just looking for youth and looking to destroy. And so for me, it was just like lacks originality, you know, nothing special here. And the only thing that I kind of liked was Goku and Oolong. Not Goku, sorry, Piccolo and Oolong. Oolong is kind of that Yajirobe. He's got a little bit of that, he's a finesser. He knows how to finesse his way out of things, and
Yeah,
I
he
can
get,
I
he
can
gets trampled if I'm not
he
mistaken.
does get trampled. He does get
Yeah.
trampled. Um, but he brings in that like comedic relief at times that I enjoy. Um, but other than that, the movie was just kind of run of the mill, nothing special. So that's Lord Slug. I wouldn't really recommend watching it. Um, and the other one is Dragon Ball Z. The what's this one called again? This
Dead
one, Dead
Zone.
Zone. Dead Zone. Holy mama! This one was tough, dude.
Yeah, that's what it was.
This one was tough, man. I mean, this movie. Not only was the antagonist terrible, um, like at the end, there are so many like questions that I had. The Dead Zone was on Earth. They already had all the Dragon Balls. This man opens up another dimension, and he gets blown into it, and then it closes once he's in it, and he's just floating in outer space for forever. Like he's just infinity. He's just there. I mean, you would die eventually. You're not eating. The man should have died. Uh, right. But like he comes back in another movie, which we haven't watched, but and it's not even really a movie. It's more like a special. Um, but it was
I
just
thought that
like,
was an arc. Isn't that an arc in Dragon Ball Z when he comes back?
shoot, dude, it may
I think
be.
it's like sandwiched in between two arcs.
It could be between like Frieza's, between the Namek one and the Androids saga,
I
probably,
think so, something
because
like that. Because
Goku's
I,
definitely not there.
hmm
And Gohan again is like the foil to Garlic Jr. But but Jesus Christ, dude. Your boy was struggling to watch this, and I was like,
this was
dude,
rough. This one was a rough
yeah,
one.
it
Hmm
was. And I think let's be honest, this movie probably should be in tier E.
Yep, for sure. I
It-
said that to myself too. It's the only movie. Hearing you talk about it, it's like it's the only movie that I was like constantly looking at the time of like it. Like I was like, when's this shit over? Like it felt longer than what it was.
for sure. For sure. I agree wholeheartedly. And it was just such a but I mean, here's the thing, right? Like again, this was the first movie, and
Hmm
so listen, they they gave it a shot, and again, this was what came out in 1989, so a lot of things aren't necessarily working in its favor. It hasn't aged well. It certainly has not aged well. I couldn't show this to like a random person and be like, "Watch this movie and tell me what you think about it."
hmm
Uh, but it did set the foundation for what would become a huge phenomena. So, you know, but that's the only reason it's here. Because honestly, other than that, it should be in tier E, right?
Yeah, as a film, it should be an E, but as like a catalyst and like
Mhm.
a trendsetter and like a trailblazer in regards to anime and breaking into
Mhm.
pop culture, I
Yeah.
think you kind of have to give it a higher grade just based on its impact on the
Mhm.
culture. You know,
Mhm.
whether we like it or not, whether you know you're a big Dragon Ball Z fan or not, like the reality of it is that Dragon Ball Z is kind of the one that broke the barrier there, you know, and
Yeah.
broke into the scenes of the world in regards
Mhm.
to opening up anime and people loving anime in other parts of the world. So, and a big part of that is this film. You know, that's not to say people have watched the film, you know, but it's like this is our
Exactly.
first attempt, you know, at making a
Exactly.
film, and I think
Exactly.
it deserves some respect on that merit alone, you know.
And that's exactly why I couldn't put it in E, tier E, because you just said it very eloquently there. Like it started it all. Not so much so like, oh man, this is the first movie and it broke through and wow, now Dragon Ball Z is on the scene, but like it set the tone, it built a little momentum, and they kept building from there, and
Mhm.
eventually it became what it became. And I mean, Dragon Ball Z is a pioneer, for sure, in the anime scene, which is now mainstream. Uh, so yeah, I mean, as far as movies to watch here, if I'm being 100% honest, eh, there's an element of like, you know, mm, charm to the first two movies that were created, but they're not necessarily a good viewing experience. I would say, I would say Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F, and I was gonna say Cooler's Revenge,
Mhm.
um, but I just feel like, I mean, look at those two movies, right? Like you have the two lineage of evil brothers or whatever, and that's what it comes down to. Like, which one of those two steals the show? And for me, it's hands down Frieza. And this will a lot of people will leave that movie, I think, being Frieza fans, converted to Frieza fans. And, if they were to watch Cooler's Revenge, I think they would leave being like, damn, Cooler just sucks. In my opinion. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So definitely I think Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. Um, That's tier E. We're getting into the more watchable films, I would say. Um, you know, this is tier C. This is, your C grade. This isn't necessarily anything special. And, you're not necessarily going to be like, wow, this is amazing. But, they're all right. They're all right. They're not terrible. And so this one, I know for a fact if we looked at 100 tier list, Dragon Ball film tier list, this movie here would not be this high.
Mhm. For sure, for a fact, for a fact.
But
There's so much hate on this
there
movie.
is. And the thing is, like, watch the movie yourself. And you know what? If you watch it with without any bias, like, and you just go in and you watch it and you think the movie is trash, then okay, that's fine. That's your prerogative. That's your opinion. But don't be fooled by what the masses are saying. Like, give it a shot. And I'm not saying this is a masterpiece, but I'm certainly saying this movie is not as bad as Super Android 13,
For
and
sure.
that is Bio Broly. All right. So when we first started this, we were like, damn, Bio Broly about to be trash, garbage.
Yeah,
Let's just get it
there's
over
such an
with.
aura around it, right? Like
Right.
there's such a mystique or like there's such a narrative around this movie.
Right. You feel like once you've watched Bio Broly, you it can't get any worse from there. Like, wow, we got through it. We watched the garbage of the garbage. Like, but I was genuinely surprised by this movie. One, because when I was watching it, I was like, okay, where does it get trash? Like, where does it start becoming trash? One, I think this is the best Trunks and Goten can be. Like, this is their ceiling. I don't think they can get any better than this. Um, and it worked well with them. At least I felt like it did. You know, they they have that like they look like Goku or well, Trunks doesn't look like Vegeta, but they are their offsprings. It's like Goku and Vegeta Jr., but not necessarily Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. Like these are their sons, and they see Broly, and they know Broly is this fearsome foe, which only adds a little more like another element of intrigue. Um, I like 18, Android 18. I feel like she is one of the best fighters that like is on the roster. Uh, Aside from Goku and Vegeta, obviously they're in their own tier, and I would even say like you know Trunks. I would also put Trunks away from that, but for me, like between Gohan and 18, like it's close. If 18 started like showing up more regularly, I would be fine with that. I think she's got a whole bunch of potential, um, because Piccolo left a void, and that void's gonna gotta get filled up. And Gohan's doing everything he can to leave that void open. So I think between Piccolo and 18, like it's kind of neck and neck. And I enjoy like there's something about 18. 18 just has like this badass element to her that I really enjoy. So you couple those two things with Hercule being involved and his story with I forget his name. Damn it. Um I felt like
Something like Leon or something like
something
that.
like that, right? I felt like that was
Mm.
cool. Like I actually enjoyed that. It was funny. Like I and Hercule is a good like he's just I don't know, he just brings this breath of fresh air. He his comedy hits right, not like Krillin's. Like I feel like Krillin's kind of 90% of the time falls flat. Um but Hercule, like he's built this persona. It's fake, he's built it on deception. Uh and it was just like him being added there, Trunks and Goten, like this is them at their best, I think. And you know what? This isn't the real Broly. This is a an artificial recreation of Broly based on now is the way that they got Broly's DNA, is it is it believable? Probably not. Is it questionable? Probably yes. Uh, but they made an attempt there to show the people like this isn't really Broly. This is something else, and it just looks like Broly, right? Because a they got his blood, and then they were able to recreate a Broly type of uh, clone or prototype, and and it kind of worked. Like for me, it kind of worked, and I left the movie saying, "Wow, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was." So for me,
Uh-huh.
solid movie. Uh, all right. So this one, I think a lot of people actually didn't like this movie either. When I was going through the reviews, I saw a lot of like the average was kind of like a 6 point something out of 10, um, which confused me, dude. All right,
Well, I mean, it's at the bottom of mine, so
this is
I know where it lands with me. So
this is Dragon Ball Z Return to Cooler. Okay, now here's the thing, right? Like I told you, okay, Cooler wasn't a a redeemable character. He wasn't interesting. He was bland, and he was. But in this situation, it isn't so much Cooler that I'm focused on. Is more so Piccolo again, and I think Piccolo to me, like he has his moments are few and far between. He's never going to really shine again. And here I like how he goes on his own mission, like he has this connection to the Namekian people. Here comes Cooler, he's going to like take over Namek and take over the Namekian people. And Piccolo, even though he's been so far away from Namek for so long, he he still like wants to help them, you know, like he hasn't forgotten that Namek is where he came from, like, and he goes on his own journey. He's not like rolling with Krillin or Roshi, you know, like he's going on his own journey, and he's there's something about that that I really like, and I wish they would never do this because Goku and Vegeta are always going to be the poster boys for the series. But had this movie been focused on Piccolo, I think it would have done better. Like I think it would have been a better movie. Um, because I feel like this is it. This is Piccolo's time to shine. This is where Piccolo's gonna go save his race. You know, like this is his story. This is his journey. He has to go on this, and not necessarily by himself, but this is a journey he has to see to. Like he has to sort it out, and in that there could have been a lot of like struggles, internal struggles he could have come across, um, which I would have liked to have seen, but they, you know, they didn't really do that. So I can't say this is a must watch. Um, but for me, just the Piccolo element alone was what I really enjoyed about the movie. And I don't feel like, you know, after this, Piccolo's he's gone, dude. Like in all the other movies that are coming up, Piccolo's not showing up. You know,
Yeah, this
he's
is the last appearance of this man. That's
right. And so
relevant in the plot.
exactly.
If you even want to consider this relevancy in the plot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Uh so for me, you know, Return to Cooler, tier C. Um and out of these two, I only have two movies in here. Out of these two, which one would I recommend? For sure, no doubt, Return to Cooler, man. Like I said, watch it for the Piccolo element, and I think it'll be a much easier watch. I'm not saying this is a great movie. I would have put it up higher if it was, but I think if you watch it through the lens of Piccolo and that paradigm, I think, or that prism, sorry, I think, I think it will be a solid movie. So that's my tier C. Bio Broly, Dragon Ball Z, Return to Cooler. You can't, you know, they're not great movies, but certainly they're not the worst, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Tier B.
we're about to come up on an hour, by the way. So just letting you know.
All right. Tier B. So um these are we're now getting to the movies that I think are good. And or from, you know, good to very good and great. Uh, and all of these, I mean, you know, you're gonna watch them, and I think they're gonna be a good time. You're gonna leave being like, "Wow, that was interesting." Let me, you know, and you'll they have thinking points. And the first one is BoJack, and this is probably the weakest out of all of the ones I have up here.
Mhm.
Uh, and the reason why I like this is it is because they try to make Gohan the main character. And I like that. I like that. Uh, I actually like when Goku, because Goku's always been he's kind of a sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes he's a goody two shoes, and that hurts him. And I like when he kind of breaks the rules of the afterlife, and he goes to save his son, because I think like any parent would do that for their child. Um, and I like Trunks, dude. I mean, for me, I thought they did a great job with Trunks. This was like, from an aesthetic standpoint, I was like, this is Trunks' final form. This is where this man has to stay. Um, and I like Vegeta too, like Vegeta not having Goku. Not that he doesn't have Goku, but the fact that Goku's no longer there, and they talk about it, like they say, you know, Vegeta's not been the same since Goku left. Uh I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. You know, you can see Vegeta really does care about Goku, and he feels like he's lacking that companionship, even though he has other people. Goku is like the last full-blooded Saiyan that Vegeta knows of, and the fact that he's dead, I'm sure there's kind of some solitude that Vegeta experiences.
Mhm.
Um, and so for me, you know, solid movie. Definitely think you know, you watch it and you're gonna be entertained. And you'll leave the you'll leave the movie thinking like, oh, that was pretty good. There were some interesting points there. Points that I liked. Next is the Tree of Might. This movie to me was, like I said earlier, the antagonist, like they need to hit, because if they don't, then it's just like the movie will fall flat, because that's the dancing partner, that's the foil to whoever the protagonist is. And so Turles, I thought he was gonna be the, like, Wish version of Goku. Like, I just thought, man, another Goku lookalike that's evil. Like, dude, we do this all the time. But no, Turles, this is what, like, and looking like Goku is already putting you, like, you're already starting off on the wrong foot, because it's like there's no effort there. But he had such a different demeanor, such a different behavior to Goku, that he felt so unique, and I liked him. He had that cockiness, he had that, like, tactical way of thinking. Yeah, he wants to like destroy, but make no mistake about it, like, he knows how to play his cards right, and he was telling Gohan, like, you could join us. Like, he's trying to create a force. He's not just trying to destroy everything in his path. And I like that about him. I like that he was like, uh full toying with some of these guys at times, and he just had a different, he wasn't just like this brute that was just going to destroy people. He was There was something tactical about him that I really liked. And he's the main star of the show, in my opinion, and that's why I thought the movie was good, because it introduces a new villain, a villain that I wish, you know would come back, even if like for a little bit. But if he came back, maybe looking a little different, I don't know. Um, that would be cool to me. But for me, Tria Might, tier B, good movie. You're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, well, uh, Turles was a pretty cool character, and I think and I think you would be right in that assessment. Um, the next movie is Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan. This movie, it surprised me. I really thought, like, I had watched it years back, but it wasn't. I didn't remember much about it, and I thought, all right, that already tells me all I need to know. But seeing Paragus in this movie, I thought Paragus took this movie from a C, from solid, to a good movie, because Paragus is Turles on steroids. When we're talking about masterminds, sh- uh, you know, someone with true, like, true strategy,
Mhm.
that's Paragus. Like, he builds a world. He knows how to manipulate people for his own benefit. Uh, he does that with Broly. He does that with Vegeta. He does that with the people that he's using to build that world, that facade, to convince other people that that is a real world and that they're building a real world, all in all for his own gain. And he is the glue to this. He is, you said it, he was like the mouthpiece to Broly. And I thought, man, I was blown away by Paragus. That was my guy. So, you know, and it introduces Broly, who ends up playing a huge part in the Dragon Ball series. Is very, very popular amongst the Dragon Ball fan base. So it's a good movie for sure, and I definitely recommend it.
Mhm.
Um, Fusion Reborn. That's the next one. Fusion Reborn. Uh, I was gonna put it in very good, but I did think that the story was a little lackluster. I thought it was missing a little bit, missing a few elements, but you know, the antagonist was so good, and he didn't necessarily speak, but just everything about him, from the way he looked to how he fought, it was so unique, it was so different, it was so refreshing. And Goku and Vegeta's dynamic in this movie is is really, like, for me it was captivating, because there's a scene at the end where, like, Goku says, uh goodbye, my friend, right? Because Vegeta's, he's in hell. and so hell's gonna close up again. And he says thank you, and Vegeta says I should be thanking you because he Vegeta kind of sees it as you gave me one last chance to feel alive to like fight, and there were just those redeemable pieces that I really liked, and Super Saiyan 3. I mean, I thought, man, Super Saiyan 3 for me was more impactful than Gogeta, even though I know Gogeta finished off Janemba. Um, I liked I liked Super Saiyan 3, man. I think there's a whole different demeanor about Goku. It goes away from that kind of goofy dude that you always see on screen. And uh, you know, that was like to me one of the highs of this movie. And then Gogeta, you get an introduction into a hugely popular character. Like he's one of the most popular characters in the franchise, and this was his coming out party, and he didn't disappoint. He was as OP as we expected him to be, and it gave birth to, you know, some of the movies, or a movie that we see later on. So for sure, I think this is a good movie. If I had to recommend one, I'd probably say the Broly movie, the Legendary Super Saiyan. I think uh it gives introduction to Broly and Paragus. It plays on some of the vices that some of the main characters have, like Vegeta, who we know he's never really let go of his, not the like monarchy, but he's never let go of him being of royal descent. And so Paragus knows how to manipulate that to his own favor, and he does so. Um, and I just think there are a bunch of elements here that are really cool to watch, and it was fun. It was fun. Um,
Yeah,
so
it's a good movie, man.
for
That was
sure,
one of my favorite ones too.
for sure. And I think Paragus like steals the show. So I think if I had to recommend one, I would say the yeah, Super Saiyan, Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, for sure. All right, these are the last two tiers. There's not much to say about these movies because I think they're all really good. Um, and we're gonna go with tier A, which is the one right below the best tier. And the first movie is Dragon Ball GT: A Hero's Legacy, which is very surprising to me, because this movie doesn't have, well, it strays away from the typical Dragon Ball type of movie, which is uh bad guy shows up with with the crew of characters, um Goku and company, or main character and company, are going to destroy the side characters, and then the big boss. And the big boss wanted to take over the world, and Goku or whoever the main protagonist is stops him. It doesn't there is none of that. It's a journey of a Saiyan, a quarter of a Saiyan, uh who's trying to find a Dragon Ball, but in that he's trying to find out more about himself. He meets people along the way, you know, uh there's a lot of like human aspects to it that us as a people could relate to, or as a person we could relate to, because he feels like he's losing his grandma, he feels like he loses his best friend, like he's he's supposed to be the descendant of a great warrior, or he is a descendant of a great warrior, and so there's probably a pressure that comes with that, of like having to live up to that type of expectation that he's having a hard time coping with. And he's just he's not that, he's not what Goku was at his age. And um and that's okay, but like he's going through his own journey, which he has to have. The things I didn't really like about the movie was, one, he looks exactly like Goku, like, and I just think, like, dang it, again, like, let's have a little more creativity. And two, I felt like I've I felt like they undid the consequences that he had suffered. So like dang, what was the boy's name? His friend? I already forgot his friend's name.
Yeah, but his boy, yeah.
Yeah, he dies and then he comes back to life. He didn't really die, but like, dude, you fell off that cliff. Like, the chances that you live in are like slim to none. Like, and he wasn't even in the hospital when he was like he didn't even have to go to the hospital. He was just
The,
like
the boy
jumping for
Puck.
joy. Huh?
The boy Puck.
Puck, yeah. He wasn't even like he didn't even look phased. Like the man was when Goku Jr. gets to the Grandpa Gohan's house and he finds the Dragon Ball, which for whatever reason is still there. Uh, he finds the Dragon Ball and Puckett and and Goku's and Pan are in the helicopter. They look totally fine. So I felt like some of that it's the same thing that Whis did with the kind of
Time rewind.
rewinding of time,
Mm-hmm.
and I just like I don't like that because then it feels like no one is really ever in danger. But other than that, like it was different. I really enjoyed it. It was more so of a journey of someone trying to find themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I felt like, you know what, for as much like shit that people give GT, this movie is actually not terrible in my opinion. Um, the next one, this one I was gonna put up in tier S. I think it's so good, but I didn't want to jam tier S with a bunch of movies because I think these next two movies for me they could be up there. Um, and this one's History of Trunks. I just thought like it had everything. Like this had two really sinister and menacing character antagonists. It had a Trunks that is also going through his own journey, and he loses a brother. Um, and they're already dealing with despair and complete a desolate world, um, that this only adds to his solitude. Uh, and it's such a different, like, you know, present Trunks and this Trunks. There's such a contrast there, or future Trunks. There's such a contrast there because, and it's not present Trunks' fault, like Kid Trunks' fault. He's born into a different world. Like he has a lot of the luxuries that future Trunks would have had his world not been destroyed. And so he's being brought up a different way, and future Trunks is having to survive every day for himself, and he's pushed to the brink of despair, like, and he's on this constant journey to like avenge his loved ones, but also like discover himself. And and i i thought like this movie was just it was good. And like I said, the only reason why I didn't put this in tier S was just because I thought like the other two movies I have in tier S are slightly better, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to like over like just have tier S filled up with movies. Cause like I said, this movie right here, I think if you watch it, you're gonna be fully entertained, thoroughly entertained. Um, yeah,
So it's
good
just
movie, man.
it's probably the most emotional one, I
I
think.
think so for
Well,
sure,
if not the most emotional one of the most emotional films
for sure,
in all of the ones that we've seen.
for sure. I
I,
think there
I
are
think that's what helped. I'm looking at your list, and I feel like that is what helps all of these films be up here. Is the fact
e-
that there's emotion
exactly
at
because
almost every single one of these films. There's emotions in the film. Like they
exactly,
made a solid attempt at giving characters emotions, and it doesn't have to be Goku. Almost all of
exactly,
these, none of them are even Goku related.
exactly. And you're actually completely right. Like subconsciously, that's what I was thinking. But now you saying that, like I see these top two tiers, and that's exactly like you're spot on. Because the next one is the Broly special, and not the Broly, the Bardock special. And I mean, what a character Bardock is.
It's the
Uh,
boy.
that's what I mean. He is the boy. He is so different. He is a much more layered individual. a more complex individual because he knows he lives in a world of mm, destruction. He adds to that destruction, but it isn't as if he's not aware of that. You know, he's kind of in that I have to do what I have to do, but he knows that what he's doing isn't necessarily good. And he's such a there's so many layers to him. And I love how like there's that scene in the movie where he goes back to tell everyone that Frieza's going to destroy the planet, and they all laugh at him. Like he knows something bad is going on, and they all laugh at him, and he's looked at as that kind of outcast, and he's from the low ranks, not low ranks, but he's low class.
Mhm.
And that adds another like obstacle to him, that someone like a Vegeta doesn't have. Vegeta walking into the room, he's already respected. Bardock has to earn his respect, and anyone coming down from those lower ranks, they have to pay their dues. They have to get it out of the mud, like they say. And so he's just he's just a special character. And I mean, this movie could have been in tier S. And like you said, there's that emotional piece where, man, he loses his team, who really feels like his team. He cares for them. He loses his planet, and the only redeeming piece not of the movie, but for him, is when he's the only he finds solace in knowing that his son is still alive. And there's that shot you talked about where he's going to Planet Vegeta and Goku's leaving Planet Vegeta, and he
Mhm.
senses that. And I was like, wow, like I mean, what a way to capture a moment. And so for sure, this is I mean, what a movie this was. These are all very good movies. If I had to recommend one, man, this is tough. Like for me, this is really difficult. I mean, it's neck and neck between History of Trunks and the Bardock special. And I think more people would like the History of Trunks. I really do. Because Trunks is such a loved character. It's a newer movie. He turned Super Saiyan. But I think I would recommend the Bardock special just because you get insight into Goku's like dad, which is something we don't really see. You get to see kind of how that not all Saiyans were just vicious and like everything was to destroy. Like it's just more complex than you think. And so I'd have to go with the Bardock special, man. I think that was a good that was just a really good movie for me. And it was the first movie we watched. Well, second movie we watched.
Yeah,
But
man. I remember saying in that episode of like, worried that this is the peak, and I think in a way I was kind of right. This did it was
mhm,
a good one to start off with because I think it showed, I think, a good possibility of what these movies could be. It was a good
right.
start. So I think that I feel you on that one.
Yeah, and the last two, tier S, the creme de la creme again. Like I mean, you could have easily had History of Trunks and Bardock here, the Bardock special here. And I wouldn't even have been mad at that. Um, but eh, the Wrath of the Dragon, obviously, and of course Dragon Ball Super Broly. I mean, what more can we say about Dragon Ball Super Broly that hasn't already been said? I mean, that first you talked about it, that first hour, 45 minutes, I mean, it's emotional. And you said it like a few minutes ago, the whole emotional piece takes your viewing experience to another level. um where some of these movies that are lower down on the tier list, they don't necessarily have that. It's kind of more they're on a little quest to save the world or whatever, or a menacing foe comes down and they want to destroy him. And there's small little redeemable pieces here and there, um, that you can really appreciate. But here it's like it's everything from Broly's character and how he's a more complex character. He's being controlled by his dad. Paragus, who's on a mission to avenge how he was treated, um, because to no fault of his own, they were exiled from their planet. Um, you can relate to some of these emotions, not necessarily what they're doing, but how they're feeling. Um, you know, uh, I mean, Bardock again is in this movie, and he's just it's another level. Frieza in this movie. I mean, how many
Like it's
characters do you
it's like
have
a
in
it's like
here?
a mashup of Bardock and Broly, like the original movie.
Right,
You know,
exactly. And it's just like, and they did it so because it could have easily been like this cluttered mess with just way too many things, and way too many elements, but they handled it perfectly. Like the fighting at the end, well, yeah, the fight is extremely long. It is really long,
yeah,
but
it's about 40 minutes.
right? So it's really long, but even that they handled it well. Like normally it goes Vegeta fights first and Goku comes in and takes the cake. But there was a reason for why Vegeta was the one that was being fought first. It was because Paragus wanted to destroy Vegeta. And you know what? It made sense to me. What didn't make sense to me is the transition. You kind of talked about this too. Like Goku just decided to be like, all right, it's my turn. Vegeta didn't even look like he was down for the count. Like, yeah, he was, Broly was piecing him up, but it wasn't like Vegeta was dead. Um, he looked like he could still go a few more rounds. But I mean, other than that, and we talked about like their reason for Bulma's reason for wanting the Dragon Balls and Frieza's reasons for wanting the Dragon Balls, and how that may be, at least I thought it was kind of a jab at the superficial, uh, like aspects of society that we have nowadays, where like everyone has a plastic surgeon and like those type of things that we see, and we're so enamored by the superficiality of things that we've lost sight of what's really important. And so I thought that was like an interesting jab. That may be me looking way too much into it, but that's kind of what I thought. Um, so I just thought, man, what a movie this is. They nailed it on the head. There's no surprise as to why this thing, destroyed the box office. Like it did great on the charts, especially for an anime movie. So uh and the last one is Dragon Ball Z, the Wrath of the Dragon. Tapion, I mean, what an entrance, what a character, what a story. You know, I felt like there are so many pieces here where it really did have that emotional investment for me. Like Kid Trunks seeing Tapion as a brother, because he longed for that. He saw that in Goten and Gohan, and he wanted that. He craved it. And so him getting that with Tapion, I thought that was great. I thought Tapion's backstory, the way he lost his brother, his little brother, um,
Mm-hmm.
the way he sacrificed himself for his people. Um, I thought that was just, I thought Tapion was quite the character. I thought he is a great addition. This was another one of those where the table's set, you got to deliver, and he sure enough did. Um, and the fact that Tapion and Hirudegan are joined at the hip, like, yes, Tapion's a good guy, but in order for Hirudegan to be gone, Tapion needs to be gone as well. Like, and that kind of sucks because Tapion is such a great character, and you know, but that's the type of sacrifice he's willing to make, and I really appreciated that. I really enjoyed it. Super Saiyan 3 makes an appearance again, which to me is always a plus. Uh, the boy Hoy, I mean, what a mastermind he is. What a what a tactician. He operates in the shadows. He manipulates, and I have an appreciation for those type of characters that aren't just like this brute force. They have they're thinkers, and they can see things before others can, and they can finesse their way to what they want. They're not just gonna force it. And that's exactly what he did. So, man, for me, you know, these two, these two tier S movies, Dragon Ball Super Broly and Dragon Ball Z Wrath of the Dragon. I mean, I think you guys, if you watch this, if you watch these, you'll enjoy these movies. Certainly, the other ones that are on here as well, like History of Trunks and Bardock Special. I think they could have easily been up here. Um, Now, if I had to recommend one of these, uh, and it's tough for me, but at the same time, it isn't. Um, I think Dragon Ball Super Broly is the movie to watch. I think it answers a lot of questions, especially if you're a newer Dragon Ball fan. Uh, it sets the table. It just it hits on a lot of different elements. It's just a great cocktail of different pieces that make the movie a great watch. So I'd have to say Dragon Ball Super Broly. Yeah, man, I have to go there. So that was my uh that was my long-winded tier list.
Yeah.
Think you know some some uh some bad movies in here that I got kind of had a lot to say on, but some very good movies that I definitely recommend. And if you guys get a chance to watch them, I think you'll enjoy them. But but that's it,
You know,
man. I think
it's been quite the journey.
it has.
I mean, really briefly, how did you enjoy watching these films again, or was it like what was it not that enjoyable? Because I remember when I brought up the idea, and I'm not sure where we were.
If
I
I
know
was
I
on
was
board,
excited for it, and
yeah.
then it started to, once we got to the end, it was getting a little tougher, But how was this? How was this experience for you?
For me, it was no, the experience was good. It was some movies were definitely difficult and a bore to get through, but there were some movies where I watched and I was like, damn, I didn't know Dragon Ball had it in them. I didn't know they could do this. And if
Yeah.
they really put their mind to it, they can put something together that's a really good watch. And so at first, when I was like, damn, Dragon Ball is not really known for its movies. Like, this isn't its forte. These boys were putting out movies for VHS only, like,
Hmm.
um, but you know what? It made me more knowledgeable about the series. Um, there were moments here where I had some laughs. There were moments here where I felt also emotionally like, you know, hit like, damn, that one right there kind of hit me.
Yeah.
There were moments here where I was like, oh, okay, that's tight. There were moments here where I rolled my eyes. It had everything, and I think one thing it wasn't was uh like monotone, tedious, like just this. There were peaks and valleys.
Hmm.
There were definitely valleys, um, but there were also peaks in there. And so, I think you did. I think you made a good. This was a good recommendation, and it was fun, man, for sure.
No.
How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I hadn't seen Dragon Ball in a while, so and that I never want to assume, and even the listeners, like, I never want to come off as like, oh, I know everything about Dragon Ball, because I really
For
don't.
sure.
And I just enjoyed the series when I was younger, and it's a way to just connect with my friends and family, and like, it was cool though. It was cool to see some of these things, and just have some laughs, and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, be invested in some emotional pieces, and sometimes being bored out of my mind, and then other times, really enjoying them, and that's a part of it. But yeah, it was good, man. So
It was good, and we brought boys along the way. We had the
yeah,
Sylve, we had um, Lalito,
come in
uh,
a couple of times.
come
Yeah,
in. Yeah, so it was fun. I enjoyed it.
yeah.
But all right, so that's the tier list. We're gonna end it there. We'll be back next week with some more content. May or may not be different content, but we will be back next week. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Our social medias are all down in the description. Listen to us on any podcast platforms. Go ahead and let us know what you think about the tier list we have put up. Do you guys think they're kind of spot on. What would you change about it? How would yours look? You know, are some of the movies we think are good trash, and are some of the movies we think are trash good? Like, let us know what you think. Um, and yeah, we really appreciate your guys' listenership. You know, this was quite the episode. So if you stuck around for the whole thing, thank you very much. And until next week, stay safe.